I am going to be painting with gouache for the first time ever. If, like me, you didn't know what gouache was, you're about to learn. It kind of falls in the middle of watercolour and acrylic. Some of my favourite artists use gouache, and the beauty of it is that you can add water to make it more translucent or paint straight from the tube and get a richer, strong colour. So I've got this idealised vision in my head of what it's going to look like, but you'll have to watch the video to see if I can figure this out. I am going to be painting this. This is an extract from my very first children's book. This is Herbert the Dragon and Molly the Mouse. That's not the title of the book, by the way. I'm not revealing that yet, but I haven't announced yet that I'm doing this children's book. It has been on the cards for over 5 years. I wrote this story in 2018, so that's 5, 6, 7 years ago. I'm going to be creating a series here on YouTube that walks through the whole process of me making this book. So the book itself is going to be drawn digitally, but I thought it'd be really fun to take a page and paint it traditionally for the first time in a long time. And the first time with gouache. So the first thing I did was print off the page that I want to paint. And what I'm going to do next is use carbon paper to transfer this sketch into my sketchbook. I went for watercolor paper. I have no idea if what I'm doing is correct, but it's got a bit of grip to it, so I feel like it should work. What I want to do is place the carbon paper shiny side down. I'm then going to lay the printed version on top, and I'm just going to draw around it. Doing this will leave a transfer on the page below. So it doesn't really matter what pencil you use at this stage because it's just the graphite that you're transferring through. You can use a pen as well to trace this. It doesn't have to be pencil, just something that's going to transfer the graphite onto the page below. So this is just 1/2 of a double page spread for the opening of the book. And we should now have a fully transferred image. Now, because I don't want the graphite to smudge, I'm going to erase it as much as I can. So I'm still able to see the faint line, but I don't know if the gouache will smudge the graphite if I just left it like this. I'm now going to use washi tape to border the painting. This is my own washi tape from my shop, which I love, and I think it just creates a really neat edge to the painting. These are the sorts of colours I'm going for. They're quite desaturated, quite wholesome colours, and I really love the overall look. So I'm going to try and go for this with the sky and use this as my reference when I'm mixing these. I know the sort of look I'm going for, and I think I want to keep it quite solid and flat. It feels so good to paint with already. It's coming out a little bit darker on paper. I think the point of gouache is that you can paint light over dark. I think another thing about gouache is that once it's dry, you can just add water and like reuse it, so it doesn't go to waste. Okay, already I've made a mistake. I've painted this the same color field as this part, but actually this field is a continuation of this one. That is one issue I've just found when erasing so much of the graphite that it can get a little bit confusing. I'm hoping the power of gouache will allow me to paint over that later. So I'm just going to ignore that patch for now and continue my gouache journey. So I think this actually dries really quickly. I don't know if it's because I've not used a lot of water, and maybe the idea of water is that you build up the layers because this is dry and it's left patches. So I think I'm going to have to go over it again. We'll see. I'm hoping that this doesn't react to the water in here and it doesn't just kind of mix. I want it to just kind of paint over it. Oh, so far it looks all right. Okay, it's not dreadful. I'm so excited to paint Herbert that I just want to finish the hills, but I know I've got a lot of work to do. I think I'm just going to get all the base colours down and then work on all of the detailing. I really love the clean lines that you get with this. They just feel really solid. Even if this turns out like complete garbage, it's really nice to paint with, so at least I'm having fun. One mistake I keep making is I'm not making enough paint of the colour. So I'm gonna probably have to go back and remake it, but I'm probably not gonna get an exact match. Okay, I am hating this so far. Loving the process, but one thing I'm struggling with is seeing all these flat colours. I know I have to trust the process. I'm really excited to paint Herbert, so I'm gonna finish this last little corner here and then move on to Herbert and Molly. So I let it dry and I tried to paint over it in another layer, and what it's done is picked up on the paint on the layer below. So I don't think I can keep going over it to try and build up. I think I just need to keep going because right now the flat colours are looking a little bit patchy. If you are a gouache painter and you're looking at this painting right now thinking, what is she doing? Then let me know in the comments below what I'm doing wrong. How do you do it so that you don't see the paint layers? Because unless you paint over it like this, I feel like you're just gonna see the brush lines. And I thought the whole point of gouache was that you didn't have to see the brush lines. Maybe I used too much water. So I realised that I much prefer doing the detail to the kind of flat colours. And if you look at the red on the dragon where I went over it, you now can't see all of those lines that I was worried about. So I think I just needed to give it some time to dry and stop being so impatient. I think with digital art, it's so fast. I just need to learn to enjoy the process, and I think I will go over the sky again and some patches of the green, and I think that will fix it. So I really love the strong bold colour of the red, which is what I was going for with the gouache. So lesson from this is to be patient. I think once I've added the details with the shadows, it's made a big difference. So I probably wouldn't normally do that till the end, but I had to just add it to see what it would look like because I wasn't really trusting the process, but it just goes to show that I should, because it is definitely getting better. So it's been a few hours, I've gone away, let it dry, and I'm coming back at it with fresh eyes. And I found the other part of the palette that I had. So this is actually the lid, and this section is a way to keep the paint wet. So you wet this pad, this padded area, and then you put the kind of disposable paper on top, and it stops them from drying out. So I gave this a clean, and I've managed to turn my fingers pink. Not quite sure how I've managed that. I've tried washing it, scrubbing it, and it will not come off. So I'm gonna finish off the base colors and then get working on the detail in the sky and the mountains and trees and grass and all sorts. So let's hope the fact that I've let it dry not affect the next layer of paint. My 3-year-old also wanted to have a look at my painting, and somehow I've got a little piece scratched off. Now, I suspect a 3-year-old did this rather than the paint just magically coming away. I'll fix that and then get working on the rest of the background. So the colour of this house, it's just too grey. I don't mind the colour of the roof. I want it to be a bit warmer, and at the moment it just feels a bit cold. So maybe aim for one of these colours that's in the washi tape here, like a kind of orangey red. So I think this warmer tone is much better. I'm gonna wait for that to dry before I go in and do the windows. And also, I wanna do the detailing on the roof like this. I don't know if the style that I'm trying to achieve would be better if I was painting in acrylic, but you've got to try new things. Maybe just don't record it for YouTube. Now I'm going to try to add a little bit more interest to the hills. Okay, I'm going to attempt clouds, and if I'm honest, I have no idea what I'm doing. Not only is this my first time painting gouache, I very rarely have painted like the sky and landscapes and things like that, so we shall see. I've just got to go for it. I probably should have looked at some reference photos first. Okay, I hate what I've done with this mountain. I feel like it should just be a plain colour because I really feel like it's detracting from the detail at the bottom here. Once it's dry, I'm going to paint over this and do what I've done here and just add some small detailing. So I think for the cloud, I need a reference photo. I can't just draw from my brain. So I'm looking at Studio Ghibli. They do clouds really well. I'm gonna give this a go to try and replicate it. So instead of painting lots of different colors, I think I'm gonna do cell shading and do a sort of two-tone cloud. It might take a few layers, but I'm just gonna go with a solid white. Once this is dry, I'm gonna go in with the darker gray shape that you can see on the cloud in this example. I have always wanted to do this. I've seen so many artists peeling back this washi tape, and I can confirm that it's very satisfying. There is so much more I could have added to this painting, but I think I'm done. For my first time, I think it's turned out okay. I definitely think my strong point is digital art, but I don't think I've painted in about 12 years. Gouache is a really unusual medium. I urge you to go try it. It's always fun to try new materials, new ways of creating art. Sometimes you can box yourself in and get stuck doing the same thing, and I found it really interesting to try something different and get myself out of my comfort zone. So I'd love to know what you think about Herbert the Dragon, not just the painting, but the idea of creating a series here on YouTube, all about the journey of creating and publishing my first ever children's book. It was really fun to see Herbert in the form of a painting instead of just digital, but I'd love to show you the whole process. If that's something you want to see, then hit subscribe and we can follow along on the journey together. Okay, until next time.